Hey, folks, welcome to the Offside Zone. Now, we have some juicy topics we got for you guys today. I'm going to talk about a couple things, but this is all things soccer, as you know, so everybody can introduce themselves. We're going to go off to Richie first.
All right. Hello, guys. My name is Richie. I'm also going to tell you guys a team I support. My team is Manchester City, who play in the English Premier League. I'm going to pass it off to Sam.
What's up, guys? This is Sam. Um, support the best club in the world, Barcelona. So that's all y'all need to know, man.
All right, man. So I didn't even get a chance to say my team. My team is Arsenal. We top of the league right now, of course. All the haters in the room, stay quiet.
Hey, what the? All right. I mean, y'all got it for right now.
It's
Right now. I mean,
Yeah, it's a touchy
when the choke
subject.
happens, when the choke happens,
Nah, I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. But so the first question today for you guys is, what is Pele's impact on the world of football, and did he have the biggest impact? So I'm gonna let Richie answer that first.
uh, Pele. First of all, rest in peace to Pele. Definitely one of the goats. As far as his impact, I would say he had a pretty big impact on football, just due to around the time he was playing, being a dark skinned man. That really wasn't, just being dark skinned in general in sports wasn't really widely accepted back in those days when he was playing, and he truly transcended the game, especially like as far as like touching other nations. Like everybody knew who Pele was. Like like you couldn't say like Pele and nobody know who it was. Like he was just that great. I would say he probably did have like one of the biggest impacts on football. Um, just as far as that goes, just as far as him transcending the game and breaking color barriers. Um, as far as like soccer in general, he was definitely great. But just as far as to say, yeah, like the biggest impact, um, I would probably say no, just simply based off kind of like the competition and how the game changed. Um, because back then, the game was definitely different. The skill level was different. There wasn't really a focus on goal thing. There wasn't really a focus on defending, and that's kind of evident. The skill level of the people of the strikers versus the defenders and the goalkeepers it was kind of clear, especially when I was watching a lot of the highlights from Pele's career, especially from the news of his passing. They show a lot of his highlights on CNN and everything. I would like just watch, like especially when he's taking a penalty. I would watch the goalkeepers, especially from me being a goalkeeper. I would see the way that they're diving towards the ball, and I'm like, like the way they were diving is like ridiculous. And I'm like, and that's not to discredit them, like they didn't know, like the game definitely changed. But if you look at their like the goalkeeping back then and the goalkeeping and the defending back then versus what it is now, I mean, it's kind of like for back then you could probably say yeah the biggest impact. But as far as now and how advanced the game got with the training and everything, how bigger everybody got, how taller goalkeepers got and everything, I can't say that he had the biggest impact on soccer. That is definitely up there. It's definitely top three for sure. Not discrediting Pele at all. Like that's for real. He's always gonna be like the goat. But
Yeah.
as far as like impact, I would probably say no.
Um, I'm gonna hop on the subject next. I would say I would actually disagree with what Richie said, simply because I just think that Pele was the first great of the game. Like he was the first true like pioneer of football as a global sport. Like as you said, like he transcended the game to like a whole different degree. He commercialized the sport as well. And I saw Neymar's post about the passing of Pele, and he said he said you gave the number 10 jersey a true meaning. Before Pele, number 10 didn't mean anything, and that is actually really true. Like when you really think about it, when you think of the 10, why is 10 so important? Why is that supposedly the best number in soccer? And that's really because of Pele. He was the first person to wear that jersey and really be a true legend of the game. And from then, great players always want to wear number 10. It doesn't mean if you don't wear number 10, you're not a great player, but like great players always want to wear number 10. And I think that's heavily because of the impact that Pele had on the game. So I would argue that he actually may have had the biggest impact when you really think about like how he pioneered the start of the global game and gave Brazil the notoriety for their soccer ability and everything. He's very similar to Bill Russell in basketball, I would say. Like he's like the Bill Russell of soccer. Like maybe not the greatest player per se, but like the impact and the legacy that they left was definitely like a motivation for future generations to come. That's what I would say.
Yeah. For me, I think it's very similar. I mean, first off, rest in peace, Pele, one of the goats of our game, of our football game. Um, I think Pele is massively underrated, and I say this because, like, I don't want to be the guy that brings it up, but I feel like if Pele was not the black guy from Brazil, because massively he played in the era where black people weren't really supposed to be in the sport. He played in the era where he took that pride upon himself. He took that burden upon his shoulders and he literally made it his own. And in that essence, he became the number 10. He became that phenomenon. And I think that's widely underlooked. I think that's widely overlooked because if he was somebody from somewhere else, per se, let's say Argentina, and he was that number 10 and he was that player that he was, there would be no doubt his impact. There would be no question what he brought to the sport. He would probably undisputedly be the greatest of all time. Like Messi would be trying to fight for his throne, which is my point. I think because he had to go through such turmoil, such adversity, just playing in the moment that he was playing. I think it even adds more to his legacy. I think he should be undoubtedly be the most impactful player of all time because of what he brought to the sport and because of how he did it at a period of time where black people weren't even supposed to even touch the soccer ball. So yeah, I think Pele is the GOAT. He's definitely up there with everybody else that we have in a discussion. And yeah, I mean, rest in peace to him and thank you for his impact.
Yeah, sure. Rest in peace to Pele.
Yeah. All right, so I guess since we're talking about goats, we might as well slide to our next question, which is: did Ronaldo tarnish his legacy by going to Saudi Arabia? So I'm gonna let Sam start off with that one this time.
Yeah, I don't think Ronaldo tarnished his legacy. Ronaldo's legacy is sealed. Uh, to me, he's a top three player of all time, one of the greatest to play the game. Um, yeah, I don't think he tarnished his legacy. I think just the past year, everything he's been through has just been like a little like kind of sad the way it's happened, the way it played out. Like everything that happened with Manchester United, everything that happened with his national team at the World Cup, and just like that interview, the infamous Piers Morgan interview. I think everything that just happened, the chronological events that took place in the past year, was kind of a sad way for him to exit his European career. But no doubt, he's one of the greatest players that any of us have ever seen. I don't think his legacy is tarnished.
Richie.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off pretty much what Sam said. I don't think his legacy is tarnished, like for sure. Um, it does kind of add like a stain on it though, a little bit. Not gonna lie, because a lot of people are gonna see that like how did he end his career, and what per se they're gonna look at him choosing money at the end of the day. Like, and who really know? Maybe he did do it for the money. Maybe he is, because I remember, hearing some snippets from his interview today. He pretty much just said, like, he pretty much just said, I'm not a really a normal player. I'm different, and this is a different league for me. So I want to try to make an impact here. Maybe he really believes that, but there's always going to be doubt just as far as, when you bring up Ronaldo now, especially when he finishes his career. You're going to look at everything that has happened. You're going to see the last World Cup, what happened. Got benched for a lot of the tournament, coming off the bench, and then when he came off the bench the last game, there wasn't much of an impact. You're going to see what happened, what was the last major club team he played for. If Manchester United is the last major club, he plays for, we don't know that, but we're going to say, oh, what happened with that? Oh, yeah, he did that Piers Morgan interview. There's definitely going to be a stain on it, but like Sam said, Ronaldo, at the end of the day, he's always going to be a top 3 player. Mr. Champions League. Just look what that competition is pretty much his. He'll be forever sealed in history with that. The Ballon d'Or, all of that. So I don't feel like his legacy is going to be tarnished. I feel like there will be a slight stain on his legacy, though, especially once you start, comparing him to other players and seeing how other players ended their career.
Yeah, I think for Ronaldo, I think he actually made a good decision. I think he made the decision whereas he realized his age at this point. I think it's more like a moment of realization. Like before, he didn't want to believe that he's 38 or turning 38 in February. But now he realized that, okay, I'm old. It's time for me to actually leave the game of football for what it is and actually do things, whereas I'm going to be remembered as the GOAT instead of keep fighting to be whereas other people see him as somebody that can still play in the high level that he's been playing before. And I think once he started to believe that, and once he started to realize that, it just made his decision much easier. Because truthfully, he shouldn't have been playing the amount of games that he was playing last year. When you see how other teams treat goats, you see how other teams treat people that are of age, they literally are rested for the critical games. They don't play as many games as Ronaldo did. They didn't save as many people as Ronaldo did last year. Like Ronaldo had so many game-winning goals last year, it made no sense. Like to the point where as you like, is this the Ronaldo that's supposed to be 37 years old? Yeah, that's my point. Ronaldo was being overly used to the point where he believed that he was still the guy. He still believed he was that Ronaldo, and Ronaldo will always be Ronaldo.
But why do you think? But like my thing is with it, and I'm still kind of, I kind of know the answer to this. Like, but I just want to ask you guys: do you feel like, why do you feel you went to Saudi Arabia? Just straight like that. Why?
Money, man.
I already know the answer. And the thing is, it's kind of like, I don't know who would really. I guess I can say like somebody would, say no to that. But I'm like, the average, that's a lot of money to say no to, bro. That's like, that man gonna make how much for 2 years? 400 million, bruh. Like,
But
by the end of this the season he plays, he's gonna already be a billionaire.
I saw something. I think he's going to be earning more than Messi, Mbappe, Neymar, all of them.
He's making more than the highest paid player after him is Mbappe, and that's like a 60 million.
Exactly.
That man's quadruple, like damn near quadrupling what the next highest paid player.
Mbappe thought he was the highest. He thought he was.
Yeah, not more, bro. And the thing is, Ronaldo about to be going over there. He's about to be chilling, bro. That's the thing. You about to cut. That's why it's kind of hard. We could easily say just based off his career. It's easy to say, like, for anybody to say, oh yeah, he's going to this club over there, like, there's nobody. But at the end of the day, you got to think. Just put yourself in his shoes, like who wouldn't? Who's going to say no to $200 million a year, bro?
Yeah.
That's damn near. And you can pretty much say he already had generational wealth. But at that point, it's like you about to be a half a billionaire after 2 years of chilling in Saudi Arabia, bro. Come on, bro.
But that's exactly what I'm saying when I say that he realized his age. He realized that
Yeah,
he's turning 38. At the end of the day, Ronaldo is not gonna be this phenom that we always see him as. Like we want to paint him as Superman and the guy that never quits, and the guy that never seems to get old. But like at some point in his career, he has to realize that he's not the same Ronaldo. I just feel like this is a exit tour, and the last 2 years or this year and last year should have been a beautiful exit tour. But because he himself didn't understand that he is of age at this point, he did what he did last season. I mean, this year, and then it just looked terrible at Man U, and that's the problem. He belongs in Saudi Arabia. He belongs in. I'm sorry to say this, but he belongs in a retirement home, whether you want to believe it or not. Messi is 35. Ronaldo is 37 going to 38. Messi still got 2 years to go. And he's on his basically after next season, he's on his retirement home too. So that's
yeah.
how
He retired. He's on a retirement tour.
he's on a retirement tour himself. That's how Ronaldo should have been looking at coming back to Man U. He should have retired with, retired gracefully. He should have retired sitting on the bench, helping the kids out, just being a focus point or focal point for the kids at the club and doing what he could to help the club. But at the end of the day, he kind of stained his legacy at Man U by having that interview by
Yeah,
thinking he's still that guy when in
yeah,
actuality they brought you there to for guidance. They brought you there to kind of lean on.
But to piggyback on that too,
yeah,
I think because of the season he had his season last season was good.
Yeah.
Good season last season. So like the the quickness with how like it was just like it all fell off. I think that was the most surprising part. I don't think he saw that coming. Like he scored 22 goals in the EPL. That's a good season. That's a great season.
That's a great season. That's a top scoring skill.
Yeah, you go to the next season and then it's not the same. I think the decline was like I think I think it was probably surprising for him too. That's probably why he didn't see it because he probably thought he was gonna have another good season at Man U, and I feel like we all expected that. I didn't think it was gonna turn out
yeah.
like that. So
And I just feel like it's sad, just as far as like just saying that he tarnished his career by doing it. It's just unfortunate now that him and Messi are playing at the same time, bro. It's like you got two of the greatest soccer players like of all time, pretty much going back and forth with each other, and it's like they're gonna always get those comparisons, which is pretty much it's kind of unfair that especially after Messi coming off a World Cup win, that's the cup Ronaldo we needed as well. And it is now just everybody is going to be like, oh, look what Messi's doing versus what Ronaldo's doing. And I feel like it's kind of unfair if you think about it. It's easy to say that, but at the end of the day, they're two different people, got two different decisions just as far in terms of their career, and it's just like that. But I mean, that's another conversation for another day. Just the whole Messi versus Ronaldo thing.
Yeah, I think for me personally, I just think the writing was always on the wall for Ronaldo. I mean, he scored those goals last season and he did what he did, but granted, it still came with a lot of heat. Like people were still calling him old. People were still saying he was the problem, and even though he was really the person that solved a lot of the problems on the team, they were still looking at him way too critically for me. Like they were looking at him like he was a savior, which is why I'm posing that he was overused to the degree whereas they started to lean on him too much. Like he shouldn't be 37 coming into the club and you guys are expecting him to score 60 goals like he was still playing at Real Madrid. And that's what I think. He was never given the grace like if Messi like how Messi did when he first came to PSG. For a little bit, Messi was not being Messi at PSG. We were looking at him like, what's going on? Ronaldo had a blip of that. He stopped scoring goals, and then at that point, he just wasn't being respected. And then, yeah, he took it upon himself to say, I got to leave the club. And I actually think in a game of chess, that was a smart move because he's not on the bench at Man U anymore, and he's making $200 million. It was ugly for his legacy, but
Yeah, the Piers
also,
Morgan interview was not needed because Ronaldo, I think we can all agree, is the greatest player to ever play for Manchester United, without a doubt.
yeah.
But because of that interview, he probably won't get a statue at the club.
Yeah, that honestly was
Yeah.
that was
That's
the.
and
I
that's
feel like
not
that was
that's
more
not
so
right.
that was more so a bigger mistake than going to Saudi Arabia. That Piers Morgan interview is just going. It's just going to live on, bro. It's like his criticism towards Ten Hag, like his criticism towards the like the staff there, the facilities there, I don't know, man. It's just bad. And the thing is, at the end of the day, regardless of they think he's a legend there or not, at the end of the day, he's always going to be a Manchester United legend, whether they think so or not. He might not get a statue or anything, even though he probably deserves one. But he's always going to be a legend for them.
Yeah,
But it's
Yeah.
that Piers Morgan interview is just going to live on. Sadly, that's why I feel like that is probably more of a legacy tarnisher than the Saudi Arabia move, even though it's not really soccer related. That interview, but that was kind of unprecedented. That was almost like the if I can equate it to anything, like the LeBron James joint when he was like, I'm taking my talents to like I'm taking my talents to South Beach, bro. It's like it's like kind of the same thing, but the difference with LeBron is like, look at that man now.
Yeah. LeBron was young.
Yeah, yeah,
Ronaldo's
exactly.
37.
Yeah,
You're not gonna see Paul Scholes retiring doing a Piers Morgan interview, like, cause you're old. That's what I'm saying. Ronaldo did not understand that he's old, bruh. He if he's somebody to understand that he's old, he realizes his age. Not only would he had sat on that bench, not only would he have done all the gimmicks that he was doing, but that interview that he did, he would have been thinking in the long run, okay, I'm basically exiting out of my European status. Like, what can I do now to solidify everything I've done before? You're getting a statue of Real Madrid locked in. You come
yeah,
back. It was nice. Like you went to Juve. You conquered a whole new league. You did what you did there. Won titles, whatever the case may be. Then you go to another. You come back to your dream club or your first club that the fans fell in love with you first. Man, you. It was written in the stars. You get an amazing season at 37, and then you just ruin all that.
yeah,
Read my
that's
lips. You
gracefully. That's
ruined it.
yeah,
gracefully.
yeah. He ruined it.
He
That's why I feel like that is more of a tarnisher than the Saudi Arabia stuff, bro. Because it's like his whole Manchester United legacy. A lot of it's going to be what happened at the end of his career when he went back.
he's gone. It's gone. His Man United
Yeah,
legacy is gone.
done.
Rooney doesn't like him. Like the only person that's still riding his coattails is Rio Ferdinand because they're close like that. But like Peter Neville
Heard
doesn't
a
mess
lot
with
of that
him.
against him too. Yeah,
They're like
What
no.
about Sir Alex Ferguson? Has he said
Even
anything about it?
I doubt it.
yeah,
Sir,
sir. He loves him, but at the end of the day, he was even there to try to mediate what was going on because it was getting so ugly. Like it shouldn't get to a point where Ronaldo doesn't know his age and sits down like he's a 21-year-old catalyst going to Real Madrid saying I want to leave the club. He's like, why are you doing that at the age of 37 going to 38? It makes no sense. So, yeah, I think we could all agree that even though the Saudi Arabia move isn't bad, I think that's actually a great move for him at this age.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
but that Man U interview, yeah, you gotta.
Yeah, and Piers Morgan, like why Piers Morgan, bro? Like I
Yeah,
don't know,
it's
man.
just
But
yeah,
we
it's
we already you already know.
yeah, terrible, terrible, terrible decision on his part. So, all right, we're gonna move to the third question. So, who was the best young performer at the World Cup, and what do you think is the best transfer move their career moving? Ooh, we gonna restart that. Who was the best young performer at the World Cup, and what do you think is the best transfer move for their careers moving forward?
I'm gonna start with this one. I didn't really get to watch a lot of the World Cup, so I only really know one person that I can really say for this, and that would probably be Cody Gakpo. Um, probably the one I would say, and I'm pretty sure Liverpool just signed him, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, even like, like,
I think that was
come on,
right.
like they literally signed this man right after the World Cup. I mean, I would have to say it is him.
I
Just expect. No, go ahead.
I think I think Cody Gakpo made the wrong move. Like I think Cody Gakpo made the wrong move.
I
I'm
don't
sorry to
there
I'm
personally.
I'm s- I'm sorry to say this, but Cody Gakpo made the wrong move. Like
What were the other clubs that were in
he
the
could have
deal?
went anywhere. He could have went to Man
No,
U.
but there were other clubs he was linked with. It was Man
Yeah,
U, right?
it was
Yeah.
Man U. It
So
was
you would have rather
Arsenal.
him. You'd rather. Yeah. Yeah. It was. I
I
think it
think
was
I
like
think
a
with his
couple
move
Premier
to
League.
Liverpool is so are you playing over Nunez or are you gonna be on the bench for Nunez because Nunez is the same age as Cody Gakpo.
He's not a striker, but
But
they're gonna use him as one.
right.
I just ultimately think that's not good for his development
Uh,
because what his game is like a Thierry Henry, like a shadow type of striker, but really he predominantly likes to play on the left wing. He likes to cut in, especially he loves to cut in on his right and then curl the ball into the top corner. But like he's not gonna play over $100 million man. That's just point blank period. And then on top of that, you have Diaz that is a solidified already starter on that left wing position. You're not gonna play on the right side for Mo Salah ever, and then you're not creative enough to really play in that midfield pivot that they have. So for him, he had a opportunity to go to a place like Man U and really make a career out of that position, that left wing, and really star where he wants to play. And that's why I think going to Liverpool was kind of a rush for him because he's been yelling, or not yelling, but he's been wanting to go to a new club since last summer. But like since I guess it didn't materialize because he was linked with us, but it never materialized. So now that he got the calling from Liverpool, he just took what was first. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think it was a good move for him, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I think at the World Cup the best young performer I saw was I would probably say Bellingham. Bellingham he played well. Obviously they lost in the quarters, which was kind of early, I guess, but he 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 took over that tournament. I think he was England's best player probably in the whole tournament. And like what is he, 20 years old?
I think he's 19.
Yeah, 19. Yeah, so he got a future ahead of
but
him. Like to take that England squad and like take the reins of that midfield and like just like solidify your spot in that team at that stage, like your first World Cup as a 19-year-old, that's pretty insane. I'd probably say because I mean I think the whole world wants him at this point. He's gonna
I
probably
felt like I felt like he was already getting. Even before the World Cup, I felt like people were already looking at him though.
yeah,
Yeah.
He was
but like
still,
the
he was
World Cup
still
just
already
did it,
he was still already a name before the World Cup. Like
yeah.
he was like who was this Bellingham guy? Like that man killing it over there.
Yeah.
And Dorman.
The thing about Bellingham is that I believe in his potential, but I don't want the Grim Reaper of the England tax to come and really, be over his head. Because I don't want him to go to a club like Real Madrid where he's like immediately supposed to just be a star. Like which is what requires from going to a place like Real Madrid. But if he goes there and he doesn't start adding goals to his game, he doesn't start adding assists to his game to like a consistent level, whereas Real Madrid can appreciate it, he's just going to be another Camavinga. And we know how good Camavinga is. We know how good people like Tchouaméni are. But at the end of the day, like Real Madrid has this certain standard that is just so enforced that they make kids like be grown ups as soon as they get to the club, basically. So Jude Bellingham has that England tax on him. This guy is sized. I'm telling you, this guy is sized. If they had a market right now and he didn't have no release clause, whatever the case may be. There are clubs out here that want to pay 150 million pounds for this guy. So I don't want him to go to a club like Real Madrid where the expectations are a little too high, because at the end of the day, we have to all understand he's still a young guy. He's only 19 or 20 years old. So yeah, I just want him to go to a place where he has time.
He's probably gonna end up at Real Madrid, isn't he? I feel
Yeah.
like because
Yeah, I don't think Liverpool has a chance. I don't think Liverpool has a chance. I think he could. I actually thought before he could come to Arsenal, but I don't see Arsenal. The thing about Arsenal is that they spend wisely. I don't see him.
Yeah.
I don't see our club
spend
spending
wisely or penny pence.
Hey, the penny pinching works.
They did their thing in the transfer window this season though.
Yeah, the penny
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can't discredit them now.
the penny pinching works. When you got people like Chelsea paying 120 million for a Havertz to score one goal a season, I mean, hey. Jack Grealish's going for 100 million pounds, and he got like no product whatsoever. He just scored his first goal for the club. Goes 30 games in. Like, come on, man.
Hey, man. I don't think anybody could have really predicted that one.
It was the England tax, bro. The England tax is real. It's a real thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely I mean, especially looking back, for sure we paid for him.
Yeah,
for sure,
and
bro.
Man City pays for. Yeah, Haaland was a good buy, but I think for Haaland is because he had that release clause, and obviously his father already negotiated with Man City about that. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I already knew he was going there, just simply based off his father playing.
Yeah.
But is that who you think was the best young performer as well, Toby?
For me, I think the award ended up going to Enzo, who plays in Benfica, and he's nice. I didn't even know he was that young until I saw that he got the award. I actually didn't realize that he was that young. But the best young performer, for me, it is between him and Jude Bellingham. I think just for Jude Bellingham's age and how he literally anchors that midfield. And surprisingly, this is next to Declan Rice. Declan Rice is literally an anchor, like for both his national club and his club team. And for his club team, he's even a captain. And Jude Bellingham out there looked more of a captain than Declan Rice. So that speaks levels. Like he's playing next to Captain Harry. But hey, Jude Bellingham really looked like one of the four leaders out there, and he's literally one of the youngest promising players in the world. I'd have to give it to Jude Bellingham. I just think he didn't win it because obviously, like, yeah, he didn't go far in the tournament. So. Musiala as well is a honorable mention. That brother is gonna be.
Yeah.
He
was coming off. Yeah, he was cooking us.
Yeah, that brother is gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
For sure. He should have switched his nationality to Nigeria, but we gonna let it slide. We gonna let it slide, bro.
Another day, man.
Yeah, that's a topic for another day, but we gonna let it slide. All right. So I mean, now that that's over, now that Messi, now this is the big question here. Now that Messi has won the World Cup, does that make him the undisputed GOAT of football? I'm gonna let Sam start off with this one first.
Well, for me, I don't think there will ever be the undisputed GOAT, just because there are different generations. So the people that saw Pele will think that Pele is the GOAT. The people that saw Maradona will think Maradona is the GOAT. But I think for me, he's just done everything in the game. Like he's literally completed football in my opinion. That World Cup, like the thing is with Messi is a lot of people already thought he was the GOAT before he had the World Cup. And the World Cup was really that like icing on the cake to just like complete his whole like career and just all the awards and trophies he could possibly win. He's basically won all that he could, all that is available at international and club level. So I think for me, he's the GOAT, but obviously there's always going to be arguments.
For me, like Sam said, there's always going to be the people within a generation of Pele, always people in the generation of Maradona. But as far as like our generation, us, especially getting to see a lot of pretty much watching Messi as we've been growing up, I would say for me, I would say he's the undisputed GOAT. Just simply because he's won everything. Like there's nothing you can say he hasn't won where he's played. Everywhere, like him playing for Barcelona, Argentina, PSG, he's won everything he could possibly win with those teams. He's pretty much won everything he could possibly win with Argentina. And I'm like, he's still going. It's not even like his career's not even like he said he's not even retiring from the club team. He probably not going to play. I mean, from his international team for Argentina, he's probably not going to play another World Cup, but he could probably get another Copa America or something. Honestly, still, I mean, I don't think he's done winning trophies. You still got the, he's probably not going to win the Ballon d'Or. Actually, he might win still like the Ballon d'Or. I don't know, but yeah, for me, I feel like he's the undisputed GOAT just because he's won everything. Just like I feel like he's had just a major impact, especially with kids now. Like anytime I pretty much go to play soccer with kids, like you're seeing kids with Messi jerseys. They're going to grow up. As far as the next generation, they're going to grow up. They're going to say, "Oh, who you think the greatest football player is?" It's easily going to be Messi. Once the older generation, once pretty much the newer generation grows up, outgrows the older generation, it's literally people are going to go to Messi. Of course, Pele and Maradona are always going to be there. They're like no one saying anything against them. But I feel like it's just always it's just now going forward. Give it a couple years, like when Messi retires, it's going to be Messi. At the end of the day, especially the next generation. Like you're gonna ask that question, it's literally gonna be Messi. It's not gonna be. You're not gonna get people saying, "Oh well, I think it's Pele. I think it's Maradona." It's literally gonna be a Messi.
Yeah.
Especially with the World Cup. Like if he didn't have a World Cup, it would be a toss up between like per se like Ronaldo. Some people would probably go, Ronaldo was better. You probably still gonna have them outliers now that are gonna probably say, "Oh well, Ronaldo was a better player." Or he's more of a GOAT than Messi. But at the end of the day, Messi is. There's nothing you can say that he hasn't won. You can't say anything. He's won it all. So I would say he's undisputed GOAT of football. Me personally.
Yeah.
And just the way he's won, and just the way that tournament, that World Cup was won, that game is going to be watched for generations. Like. The replay value of that game is like insane. Like you had people that never watched soccer. I seen like celebrities tweet like saying I've never watched soccer, but I'm like this is lit. Like this is tough. Like this is beautiful. Like celebrities like
probably the best
people
game.
that haven't watched soccer. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I can honestly say that's probably the best game I ever watched too. It was complete drama. Like. Through and through. You couldn't write a better story than that, honestly.
Yeah, fact.
And for him to get the one trophy he needed to solidify him as like the GOAT, that's it. That's literally the cherry on top of the cake. That game right there. That game is gonna be watched for generations.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. Messi to me checks all the boxes, right? And we're talking about a Cinderella story turned into this like blockbuster movie. Like this is literally what, if you were to say who would have the perfect career, like we would literally write Messi's story. And that's my point when I say he is the undisputed GOAT, because he has 4 UEFA championships. He has 7 Ballon d'Ors. He has the second most club goals of all time. You understand? Like only behind somebody he's probably gonna eventually eclipse when his career is over. Who knows? But the point is, he went toe and toe with somebody else that he could call a valid rival, and then he still outdid that person. Like he outdid another GOAT. So it's not like in his era he didn't have somebody to go toe and toe with. He just completely dominated. No, he had somebody that he had to prove himself and he had to go toe and toe with, and he did it. And then on top of that, he stayed at the same club. He was honest with them until they had a situation that had to kick him out of the club. And then even went to another club, whereas it's potentially he's playing with two other blockbuster megastars, and he's still proving to be the best at a 35 years old age. I'm telling you, when you look at this guy's career from when he first came into the league to now, there's no way you'll look at it and say, man, this guy isn't the undisputed guy that we've been wanting to talk about forever. If you had all the GOATs inside the room, you had the Peles, you had your Maradonas, you had your Ronaldos, you had your R9s, you had your whatevers. It's sitting in the room, and they all said, hey, man, you had a great career, man. Messi would be in the corner just looking at them laughing like, fam, yeah, you had a great career,
Yeah,
but I had the career,
yeah,
like
yeah. He
the
had the
career.
career. He had the soccer story, bro. Like I don't think you can write a better story than his, honestly.
It's
And I'm like, the thing about it, it's like he's done it all with grace as well.
exactly.
No off field antics, like just straight soccer. That's it. Like you don't hear Messi doing nothing like, oh, Messi out, going out and smoking with friends or anything. You don't hear about Messi doing interviews with, Oprah. Like like it's just been straight since he pretty much since he started to straight soccer. And it's just
Yeah,
honestly I'm thankful that I've, have been able to watch him play, like since I started watching him playing soccer. Like because a lot of people don't get to live in the era where they see greatness like this.
yeah. If
That
FIFA
there's never gonna be another Messi. Like
at all, if FIFA had a cover, like you know how 2K does their GOAT covers or whatever, if FIFA had an undisputed GOAT cover, you know who would be on there? It would be a guy from Argentina that wears the number 10 that is still playing right now. His name is
yeah,
Lionel Messi. That's the point.
yeah,
And he'll be holding the World Cup in his hands.
Yeah, I
Like
actually think that his
yeah,
international career is underrated a little bit too.
it's
yeah,
insane.
If you talk about like the comparison with him and Maradona, a lot of people don't know, never even won a Copa America.
Ever.
yeah.
Two chances. And then
Ever.
and then you add to that, Messi's also won the Olympics. I mean, you can say like
He's won
Yeah.
everything.
the
He's
and he
won the
won
Olympics.
the World Cup too. So
He's
that's
won the Olympics.
insane.
He's
Like
he's won the final Listra, whatever that whatever made up tournament they did for
Yeah, I
him.
know what you're
That
talking
The
about.
only other person to win it was Maradona. He won that. He won the Copa America, and then he wins the World Cup. He's
He's won everything, man.
the most
He's won
scorer in
everything.
Argentina history. Wrap it. He probably the most assist in Argentina history too. Wrap it up, bro.
Yeah.
Like, there-
This needs to be packed up, bro. Because like I said, the next generation is literally after Pele, Maradona. It's literally about to be Messi. Every kid is about to say Messi, and like I was saying before, it's sad that it's not sad for us, but it's just sad that Ronaldo and Messi have played in the same era because it's literally just gonna be Messi as the GOAT.
yeah, and
I don't think
but
there's gonna be many people that are gonna say Ronaldo is the GOAT.
I think it was good that we saw them at the same time though. I think this is the first time that we saw two all-time great players literally like competing at the
Yeah,
same time. Like and that honestly has
that
been
matters.
and they can't deny themselves that they each pushed each other to be better.
Mhm.
Ronaldo was
that's what
scoring
I said.
that
I was like, it's not.
era of Ronaldo scoring a hat trick. Messi scores a hat trick next game. Messi
Yeah,
scores a brace. Ronaldo scores a brace. Like that era is like unmatched, bro. Like in football
yeah.
history. It's unnatural.
And Ronaldo, I actually think Ronaldo is underrated in that sense. Because when I tell you, like, yes, Portugal had their Luis Figos and people of that caliber, but Ronaldo is Portugal. Ronaldo before Ronaldo came in, Portugal had no international trophies, fam. Like this guy scored 195 goals for Portugal alone. That is levels. Like
Yeah.
his national career is underlooked just because he didn't have a World Cup, but he's gotten them to finals. He's literally been their top scorer in multiple tournaments. Like he's put that country on his shoulder and he's made a name for that country because the truth is now you see so many young Portugal stars playing for them, so many people that's going to come up in the next future generations and continue to play for them and be big stars. I don't think those stars would have necessarily chose to play for Portugal if it wasn't for Ronaldo. And I know that's where but it's the truth because a lot of these guys are dual citizenship. Some of them are even Brazilian, but they looked at that national team was like, we could actually be something here because of Ronaldo. Because before Ronaldo came in, Portugal were a good country, but they weren't as on the scene as they are now. And I think his national career is actually underrated as well. And I just think what both of those guys brought to the game compared to everybody else in terms of longevity, in terms of consistency, it's never going to be matched, bro. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So undisputed GOAT, everybody, we all agree.
Yeah, I think
Sam.
I think Messi's done this for you to go for sure,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, man. We got one more question, and then we gonna wrap it up. So did FIFA ruin the World Cup format by expanding it to 48 teams for 2026?
The key
Uh,
word in that is format. I would say yes, they did ruin the format for sure. Because to me, the World Cup is always going to be the World Cup, no matter what. But to me, it loses some of its prestige just simply because like it wasn't easy to go to a world. It's not easy to win a World Cup, let alone to get into the tournament.
Right, exactly.
Now it's like it kind of adds this new element to where other teams and can get into the tournament just to add more games into the mix. Like it's already hard enough now watching the World Cup because there's so many teams in it. Like and now I just feel like the level is going to go down as well in the World Cup because they're going to have these teams that are pretty much kind of, and I'm gonna say undeserving to be there, and we're going to see it in 2026. We're going to watch it. There's going to be games teams are going to get blown out 7-1, 7-0, 6-1. Like we're gonna watch it live, like literally, like because I plan on being there. Like we're about to be watching it live. Um, so yeah, I feel like they ruined the format for sure with that. Yeah, it just loses its luster to me. Like for teams to get in, like this is now it's kind of like an open house pretty much. Like almost
yeah,
like oh yeah, this team Oceanic whatever like structure they do as far as like the Oceanic team, like oh yeah, you guys can come on in, like welcome to the World Cup, and they're all excited to play in the World Cup. Oh, we're in the World Cup. First game 10-0. like,
yeah,
that's just how I see it personally. Like that's just how I see it.
Yeah, just to
Like
pick it.
the level of competition, I don't feel like it's gonna be the same. Like of course once you start getting into the group stages and everything, then yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah,
just to
yeah,
pick
it's gonna lose some of its competition.
yeah, to piggyback on everything you're saying, like I just think they just watered down the competition at this point. Like the level is definitely gonna drop. Like we don't need to see like, you know, Haiti
Maldives or
and see that. Like I think you don't
Hey,
break
shout out to Haiti though.
I don't think so. But like, yeah, you don't broke you don't fix what's not broken. You don't change what's
mm,
working well. Like we just saw one of the best World Cups of all time, probably, and every World Cup that we've seen that in our lifetime has been a great tournament. So why change it? You know, like it doesn't really make sense to allow more teams and more people to, it's just I think they definitely ruined the format for sure. They definitely ruined
Yeah, they to me, I mean, obviously representation and diversity is important, and that's what they're going to tell the audience, of course, that yeah, we wanted to have more teams be able to represent their countries and stuff of that nature. But at the end of the day, FIFA is not a organization that's really known for doing things in the right light. You get me?
Yeah.
So this is really a cat it's a money grab situation type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The more games that they have, the more people watch, and especially
Mm-hmm.
knowing that it's going to be in 2026 where it's going to be in the United States, that just
Yeah.
means more opportunities for them to make more money. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go to games and see people get blown out 7-1 and stuff of that nature, and really apart from probably the representation side, I don't really see the benefit of doing that because the levels of these games will definitely drop. They're not going to be these big clashes that we're used to seeing on the world stage. And I think that's inherently what's going to take the biggest loss in this situation, just because FIFA wants more money. So it is what it is.
supposed to be an elite
Yeah.
tournament, man. Not
Yeah.
just everything
Yeah.
supposed to
That's,
be basically.
Yeah. It's the United States, so I know they had a part to play in it, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna use this stage to try this experiment. But one thing I would say though is I hope that if they're changing the format, how they get these teams to be included in regards to the representation is actually formatted correctly. Because in the past tournaments, we have continents that have more countries than others. We have
Africa,
yeah,
like what?
Africa.
The
We,
most countries and you get the smallest amount of spots. That doesn't make sense.
you
But
get me? Like we have countries upon countries upon countries upon countries, and like the representation in a World Cup is not there. So like even though they're adding, Oceania and some more of the Asian countries and some more of the South American countries and even North America, I want them to make sure that Mother Africa is there and actually vibrantly, represented, because that has so many countries in it, and we don't get to really see that side of the world participate in a world stage like we're supposed to. And I just think that's kind of unfair, but hopefully they figure it
yeah, and like just like you were saying, Toby, like the representation does matter, and you already know that they're gonna paint it like that, like you said. But I just hope that these teams being in this tournament, because whatever, say if it's like a country where they don't really have the best government, the best, power, hopefully it brings the lights and pushes these countries forward just as far as like their financial situation. Because
out.
to
Exactly.
me, it just seems like FIFA is just using them to get more money. But it needs to be these countries that are in this tournament, their governments change, their financially they improve from being in the World Cup and being broadcasted and pretty much like used like how they are. Because at the end of the day, I just feel like these teams are, I mean, these countries are going to be getting used. They're going to get to the tournament, and it's just they're not going to be prepared. The World Cup is just like like the structure, the last structure worked because it's like you had to earn your spot to get in. Like I said, it's not easy to win a World Cup, let alone get into one. There's a lot of trials and tribulations these countries have to go to pretty much just to get into the tournament. And I just feel like a lot of these countries are kind of going to be they're kind of, it's just pretty much going to be like an easy road into the World Cup, and then they're going to go against a team like England or Spain or France, and then the game is just going to be like a practice cone, like so. Hopefully, I just hope hopefully these countries' economies get boosted from being in the World Cup if this is how the format is going to proceed.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if that happens, then I'm all for it. But if not, which I don't see it happening, then it's pointless.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that don't fix what's not broke. All right, man. So that wraps it up for today's episode. It's our first episode of the season. Look out for more, and yeah, thanks for tuning in.